In the name of God, hello dear students, welcome to Ferkhwa's website. My name is Masoud, I'm a physics teacher. We are in Ferkhwa's website here to explain physics curriculum for you, grade 11. Also, we have an application by this name. You can download it on Play Store of your cell phone to get, let's say, our videos. Right now in, let's say, this video, I'm gonna explain the physics curriculum grade 11. Before I start the first chapter, actual chapter 1, I'm going to tell you about the entire curriculum of grade 11. Actually, this textbook, your textbook, is divided into two parts, into two areas of physics. From chapter 1 to chapter 5 belong to actually mechanic. You know the area, you got the area of physics in grade 10. This textbook, actually textbook grade 11, focuses only on two areas. I told you from chapter 1 to chapter 5 is all about the mechanic, right? It's all about the classical mechanics. And after chapter 5, I mean chapter 6, 7, and 8, are dedicated for electricity. That's why this textbook is easier than grade 11, than grade 10. So grade 11 is easier than grade 10 because grade 10 actually concentrated on several areas of physics. But here in this textbook, grade 11, actually your textbook focuses only on two branches of physics, which are mechanics and electricity. That's why you can dive in with, let's say, with mechanics for chapter 1 to chapter 5. That's why the, let's say, chapter by chapter, let's say the subject is getting easier for you because you dive in with the lecture, right? You don't actually, you don't read it, let's say, generally. You read it, let's say, professionally. You dive in with the subject. That's why you get a lot of information, and a lot of secrets are revealed for you during these chapters. And for electricity as well, from chapter 6 actually to chapter 8, actually is about the electricity. And that's why this textbook, actually, and a lot of the students, it's not my speech, a lot of the students bear witness that that this textbook grade 11 is easier than grade 10. So our goal in this website, in Ferkhwa's website, is to make the physics easy for you as much as possible. And we are here to do this, right? Right now, I'm gonna show you the chapter 1, the contents of chapter 1. Actually, firstly, by the name of Allah, we start our chapter 1. The title of chapter 1 is Motion in One Dimension, or Dimension. Motion in one dimension or dimension, it doesn't matter how do you pronounce it, actually. Contents of the chapter, right? Contents of the chapter. This chapter involves three sections. The first section, section 1.1, displacement and velocity. Second section, section 1.2, acceleration. And section 1.3 is about falling objects, right? So section 1.1, let's start with section 1.1, the first title. The title of the section is displacement and velocity. But the first subject that I'm gonna explain for is motion. So what is motion? Let me read the definition of motion and I'll explain it for you after that. Motion means the change in position of a moving object from the starting point to the final point. So simply we can say motion is a change in position from a starting point to the end point or ending point of of the uh, let's say of the object, right? And motion actually is associated with any creature. Think about yourself, for example, whenever you shake your hand, right? Whenever you shake hand with someone, with your friend, you use motion, use movement of your hand, right? Whenever you blink your eyes, right? Whenever you blink your eyes, you actually you move your eyelashes, right? You move your uh, uh, eyelids actually, or eyelids or eyelashes. Whenever you say hi to someone, it means you move your hands, right? You move your fingers or your hands, and we cannot separate the motion from any creature, even if the creature is actually is not organism. For let's say dead bodies, for dead objects, actually in physics there's no let's say there's no motionless object in the universe. Based on physics thinking, everything is in motion. Even if you think about the stone, in whenever you put the microscope on the stone, you see that the particles of this stone actually is in continuous motion. Particles are in continuous motion. It means there's no motionless object in the universe. Everything is in motion. Everything. But based on the biology, actually, biology says, for example, stone is, let's say, it's not organism because it doesn't breathe. But human being is an organism because it's a living things, because human can breathe, and a stone is non-living thing because it doesn't breathe. But we don't have this criteria here. We don't have this actually measurement here. Our measurement for naming the object actually is motion, yeah, movement of the particles. Even if you bring a stone, right? Everything in physics in motion, and motion actually, in other words, uh, anything is in motion means this object has a kind of life, right? Anything that moves, it means it's not non-living things. It's living things in physics. I say, I'm talking about physics, not biology. So based on physics thinking, let's say there is no non-living thing. Everything is living thing because they have a kind of motion. They have a kind of life. Motion means, let's say, life, right? So I told you motion means change in position of object from starting point to the final point. One-dimensional motion, I'm going to explain one-dimensional motion for you. The simplest type of motion in which an object can move along a straight line. The simplest type of motion in which an object can move along a straight line. So this is the simplest type of motion. One-dimensional motion means the simplest type of motion, and the object only moves in a straight line, right? And in previous year, I explained it for you. One-dimensional motion means, one dimension means, or one dimension means, let's say a straight line, motion on a straight line, like this. For example, this line is one dimensional, right? This one is this square, or this shape is, let's say, two-dimensional object. And the cube, right? This cube is three-dimensional motion, a three-dimensional object, or 3D. This is a 3D object or three-dimensional object. This one 2D, and this one-dimensional object. So a straight line means one dimension. Two dimension means let's say anything that has area, is called a two-dimensional object. And any object that has a volume, any object with thickness is a 3D object, like a human being. We are three-dimensional creatures because they have thickness, because we have thickness. And in addition to these dimensions, it's not used for our subject. It's general information. I'm gonna tell you this information. And the point is 0 dimension. Point, right? This dot or this point is considered 0 dimension. It doesn't have any dimension. That's why this is the classification of dimension of the objects in general. But right now, we are going to explain, we focus on only one-dimensional, let's say one-dimensional motion or one-dimensional motion, right? We study the motion along a straight line, whether this straight line is the actually highway of or this straight line is the rails of train or trunk of a tree, right? Anything actually with one dimension, any path with one dimension is considered, let's say, as one-dimensional motion. Right, so one-dimensional motion, I told you, simplest type of motion along a straight line. Right. Examples of one dimension. The first example, a commuter train moving forward and backward. This train actually is called commuter train because it moves back and forth. It moves, let's say, forward on one way, actually, on the opposite way, whenever let's say the train turns back to the original position. So it changes the line and it moves backward. So commuter train means any train that moves back and forth. It moves back and forth only in one dimension. Let's say forward and backward. So on a straight line to the right, for example, or forward, let's say, I don't say to the right, forward, backward. That's it. This is called commuter train. So this train does not turn. This train does not, let's say, deflect to the right. It doesn't deviate to the left. And it doesn't spin. It doesn't rotate. Only, let's say, trace out a straight line. This is called commuter train. And it's one example of one-dimensional motion. Regarding the one-dimensional motion, we have another example of gecko climbing a tree. We have a trunk of a tree, right? And this gecko starts its motion, its one-dimensional motion from this position, right? Let me change the color of the marker. The gecko changed its position from, for example, point A to point B, right? So motion means change in position of an object, change in location of an object from a starting point. This is called initial point or starting point, right? Starting point. And this is called, actually this position, final position, is called final point or final position or end point, actually, right? So this is another example of one-dimensional, a gecko climbing a tree. So they are examples of one-dimensional motion. I prepared some questions for you. Let's discuss them together. Let's say one by one. So question number 1. Let me read the question number 1 for you. It says, choose the one-dimensional motion among the following motions. We want to choose the one-dimensional motion. A commuter train moving forward and backward. Right. Is it right? Yes. B, a commuter train moving left and right. I told you the train only follows the path, follows the back and forth path, follows the forward and backward path. It doesn't, I told you, it doesn't deflect to the right, it doesn't move to the left, right? So this one is not accepted. C, it says a commuter train moving up and down. A commuter train cannot move up and down only. I told you it moves forward and backward. A, D, it says all of the above. No, only A is true. So let me circle the correct answer. A is true. A commuter train moving forward and backward. Let's choose the question, choose the answer of question number 2. Let me read the question for you. Choose the one-dimensional motion among the following motions. One-dimensional motion, like the previous question, we look for one-dimensional motion. And this chapter concentrates on one-dimensional motion only, right? A commuter train moving forward and backward till now is true. B, a gecko moving along along the x-axis. X-axis means horizontally, yeah, forward and backward on a straight line. It's true, yeah, it's true. C, a gecko runs up a tree, then retreats down the tree. A gecko runs up the tree, right? It goes up and it goes up along the trunk of a tree, and after that it goes down. It retreats down the tree. It goes back to actually to along the tree. That's why all of these examples are considered one-dimensional motion. That's why I'm gonna choose the answer. Whenever you want to choose it, you have to choose the last one. All of the above is true. Right. That's all, guys, for today. Thank you very much for watching this video, and bye for now.